Welcome to Dungeon Academics. I'm Thomas, and I will be your instructor. This is my 5th video in this mini-series on class actions, and it's the 5th video I'm recording in a row because I'm loving it. I've mentioned this in some of my older videos, but the reason I'm doing these videos is because I love talking about Dungeons and Dragons, and this is a great way for me to record my ideas. I find if you can explain an idea to someone else, you get a better understanding of that idea yourself. So for me to be able to communicate these ideas and put them in a video is actually a critical part of my thinking process. So I'm making these videos for myself, but I'm also really enjoying the fact that a lot of other people seem to be liking the ideas as well. So if you like what I have to say, please join the channel, have some fun. I love reading all the comments I get. I've challenged myself to get to 50 subscribers before my friend Max gets 50 followers on Twitch. He's son of Hanu on Twitch. I think I'm just a little bit ahead of him, but anything can happen. And it's a couple of days left at the end of the year, and I've recorded more videos in the last 2 weeks than I did in the entire rest of the year. Partially that's because my main computer has died and I'm not doing any editing or prep work. I am just going for it. But I'm having great fun. So thank you for being here. Anyway, what's video number 5 today about? We're continuing the discussion on class actions, a potential replacement for bonus actions, and something that would really allow the game designers to define what it is to be each class. And I want to move on to Druids. I love Druids. I've played a Druid before. I found it a great, fun character. It certainly had its mechanical limitations, and I think we can do a better job if we take time to build what the class action for a Druid could be. But first, I'd like to bring up the Dungeons and Dragons movie that came out last year. I thought that was a fun movie. I really enjoyed it, and I'm hoping they make another one. And a lot of people who've seen that film will agree that one of the best scenes is the Wildshape scene. There's several where the Druid absolutely is the star of the show. The first time we meet the Druid and it Wildshapes into an owlbear and goes absolutely rampaging through some bad guys is classic. But the escape from the castle scene with the Druid wild shaping from one form to an X to get away from the guards, that's beautiful. Now, people that really know Dungeons and Dragons will say that's not how wild shape works. You can't wild shape into an owlbear because an owlbear is a monstrosity, not a beast. And you can't wild shape that many times in the escape scene because you only have a limited number of wild shapes per day. And that's correct. According to the rules of 5th edition Dungeons and Dragons, that shouldn't work. But it's cool, and maybe it's the way it should work. If something is cool and fun and not game-breakingly overpowered, maybe that's the way the game should work. So I'd like to change the way Wildshape works for Druids so that it is now a class action. Class actions replace bonus actions. They allow you to do your abilities and then make a regular action, be it attack or the magic action where you cast a spell. They are resourceless, so you could do it every turn if you wanted to. And I think Wildshape should be like this. I think Druids should be able to shift from one form to another almost at will. I think they should be able to do it more frequently. We shouldn't use this as a way to get infinite hit points. One of the big uses of Wildshape at the moment is to Wildshape into something that's got a big bag of hit points, and when that gets worn down, Wildshape again, and essentially never run out of hit points. I don't think that's the essence of what Wildshape is. It's not a tanking ability. It's a form-changing ability. So let's allow Wildshape every turn, but you retain your hit points. If you wild shape into something that has a lot more hit points, maybe you gain some temporary hit points, but you don't get a full set of hit points for every wild shape. That's off the table. Let's change that. Let's have the number of forms you can wild shape into be somewhat restricted. So you pick a certain number of beasts, and as you level up in Druid, you gain access to more wild shape forms and perhaps more exotic wild shape forms. An owlbear is a monstrosity. Maybe one circle of Druids specializes in monstrosities. Maybe you want to wild shape into an aberration or even some form of dragon. I think that sounds awesome. This is certainly higher level Druid stuff, but not being restricted to just beasts would be quite nice. So how would this work? The Druid has the class action Wild Shape, and it allows you to change your form from an animal into one of the wild shapes you have listed on your character sheet, or back into Druid, or from one form into another form. And then you can combine that with either the attack action or the magic action or any action really. And you can do the transformation before or after the other action. So you could cast a spell and then wild shape into a bird and fly. And then next turn you could transfer from a bird to a bear and make the attack action. And then the next turn you could drop bear form and cast a spell. And you can keep doing this flipping from one form to another and still getting your action. That is what would make Druids absolutely awesome. The flexibility that you get from moving from one form to another, being a melee creature one turn and then going back into a Druid and casting a spell the next turn. That's what makes Druids radically different from any other class. At the moment, when I played Druid, I felt when I was a spellcaster, I was a great spellcaster. But when I was wild shaped, I wasn't a spellcaster. I was just a melee character. And because I couldn't flip between the two, there was this always fear of, am I doing the right thing? And that wasn't the fun kind of choice. That's the kind of choice where whatever happens, you end up regretting the decision. And because you have a very limited number of wild shapes, it kind of sucks that you don't get to flip between one and the other and just enjoy what the class can do. I think getting rid of these restrictions, the limited number of use per day on your core ability is a really important thing, because being able to use your core ability every time you go into combat, that's what's fun about the class. Like I said, a barbarian wants to rage, a fighter wants to action surge, a rogue wants to sneak attack, a paladin wants to smite, and a druid wants to wild shape and cast spells. And now with this, a druid could. You would still be able to go around casting all your spells and still wild shaping and doing all the fun things associated with that. And it takes wild shape into an actual utility and combat ability, not a I have a massive sack of hit points ability, which is certainly a lot less fun. So, wild shape, how do you like my idea? Do you think that would be an improvement over the current system? What checks and balances will we need to have to make sure that it's not too powerful while still being fun? I'd love to hear your feedback. This is my fifth and final video for the day, and what an absolute blast I've had making these videos. So thank you very much. I probably won't make any tomorrow because it's New Year's Eve. I'll continue. No promises though, I might if I have a great idea. But I definitely will be continuing this in the new year. And I hope you have a fantastic New Year's Eve and a fantastic New Year, and enjoy your next game, whatever it may be.